You have to be able to take that risk and leap of faith. You have confidence in yourself to go out and do it. It's scary, but guess what? Sometimes you take that little risk and the reward can be pretty nice.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Millionaire Misfits. This is episode 11. We have Jarred Nygard in the studio. And like always, our mission is to turn everyday misfits like us into millionaires like our guests. Jarred Nygard is a buddy of mine. He went from blue-collar worker and made the shocking transformation into entrepreneur, business person, and top-performing RE/MAX agent. Dan, tell him a little bit more.
Yeah, Jarred was awesome. I loved this episode. He talks a lot about networking with people and the power of leaning on other people and how much that can help. But he also goes into kind of like pushing through those fears in the beginning and making that jump from, like you said, the blue collar into the entrepreneurship. And he's just tons of good advice to follow, tons of actionable tips.
Very good. Very good one. Yep.
Really good.
Guys, pay attention. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. What's up, everybody? And welcome back. Today, we have another awesome episode for you guys. We are joined by Jarred Nygard. So, Jarred, you actually have met him a couple times, right, Eric?
Yeah, we met when I was doing a small group presentation on real estate investing. I was I was the featured speaker, which, you know, it sounds way cooler than it is.
Suit and tie, everything.
It's what we'll do for the gram. But no, like you were one of the guests there. It was a small group, and then chatted after, met for coffee, had a great conversation. I'm like, dude, come on my podcast. We need to have more of this because it was so good. So yeah, I mean, you've been doing real estate sales for years, and we were talking about getting into investing side, and so we had a good conversation around that. But for our listeners, give us a little bit about, you know, like a little bit about yourself in the background and how you came to be crushing it in real estate.
Well, like I said, I would say thank you guys for having me on the podcast.
Thanks for being here.
Welcome, by the way.
I got the invite, and I was floored, right? I had to take a minute to think about it, but it's Eric of all people that would invite me over. So, no, you know, my journey into real estate didn't really, I don't think it started like anybody else's, or it wasn't something that was a calling of mine getting started. Kind of a quick little background for me. I was that typical Midwest person that, hey, you go to high school, you graduate high school. From there, you go on and you get your further education. You work in that career for 30 years, and then you retire into the sunset at 55, 60 years old. But I worked in electrical for a year, and then St. Patrick's Day 2009, I got hit with 480 volts, couldn't let go, got rushed to the emergency room, and ended up getting basically my whole life restarted.
Jeez.
You know, it took a week of recovery and was in ICU for a little bit and to learn to walk again. And it kind of at that point, it was like, hey, this is too dangerous. And so I joined the military to get school paid for. That wasn't much safer.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. So you got electrocuted, and you're like, you know what would be a safer career path is going into the military,
right? I couldn't deal with debt. That was my biggest fear, and still is to this day. Just debt was not I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. All our vehicles and everything we have is paid off other than our real estate. And so basically then at that point, you know, I went in and I decided to go back to school, got a criminal justice degree and worked in various sectors of law enforcement and criminal justice. And my dad was a state trooper for 30 years. And there were days that I would wake up and he wouldn't even be there to take us to school because he was just busy. So it was time for me to change. And in that point, I changed. I worked in a corporate setting for a little while and started my own business after that. And I had two people that said, hey, you're pretty good at understanding houses and pretty good at customer service. You should look at getting into real estate. One of them being Gary Storms, who was my neighbor at the lake. Shout out to RPS. And then Rob Leslie, who was my neighbor also at the lake. So at that point, I just took a shot in the dark. I just said, I'm gonna try it. My wife thought I was nuts.
Did you know anything about real estate, or just like,
you know, we had bought two houses at that point. We had our lake place and we had our regular house. I didn't understand how the processes work. When I had to write my first purchase agreement, I called a random person and said, help me, please. It was, of course, that typical transaction on a Sunday in the afternoon. And nobody's around. You can't get a hold of anybody.
Yeah.
So then I just got hooked. You know, my first listing that I got was $1.5 million listing. It was a client of mine that we maintained their place. Their average bill was about $1,000 a year. And I called all my clients after I got my license. I called all of them and they said, yeah, we're looking at selling. And it was a lake place, $1.5 million, 8 bathrooms, 7 Yeah, 8 bathroom, 7 bedroom, and sold it. And at that point, I realized, really there's a great opportunity there, and obviously that's not everybody's story, but, my path didn't start at focusing from a young age that this is where I wanted to be. I just knew that I have a lot of drive in myself. I look at things and I say, I can be better than that. I can go more. I can do more. I look at, if Eric and I were in the same brokerage and he was beating me, I'd be like, God, I'm better than him. Good for you. Congratulations, you beat me. But there's a part of me too that's just, no, I'm better than him. I can do more than that. And that's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
You have to be able to take that risk and leap of faith. You have confidence in yourself to go out and do it. It's scary, but guess what? Sometimes you take that little risk and the reward can be pretty nice. So yeah, my path to real estate was not anything that was sought after or something that I really thought that I was going to do in my life. I kind of fell into it.
How old were you when you made that switch to start the real estate stuff?
So I've been in for 4 years, 37 now. So I was 33 years old, and of course it was.
All right. I got 3 years. We can do that.
Yeah. And it's a point when, getting into it and getting started, it was a hustle, and it was constant grind. But I've been fortunate now to just continue to do that. And that's starting to kind of come full circle with the referrals and the clients that are kind of coming back to me. I just had a client over the weekend. Last fall, I helped them purchase a place out on a lake, and they paid $601,000 for that lake place. And they hadn't even moved in yet this spring. But I got a call from him on Saturday. He goes, this other one came up on the same lake, right on the south end, but it's a better beach. And he goes, we just walked around it, walked through it. We want to buy it. And I was working on my wife's garden bed. So I went inside and I wrote an offer and he wanted to go above. And so we went over $900,000 for that one, and we got it. So the industry, like I said, you treat your customers right and they kind of come back. And my journey was one where I just kind of fell into it, and I was very fortunate to kind of be tied with some people that helped me progress. And I leaned on those experts, those people that were there to help me. It has definitely been a rewarding career. It's giving me time back with my wife and my family. It's given me the opportunity to meet amazing amounts of people, and the freedom and financial freedom that I've been able to gain today. I'll never forget, even just leaning on the fact that you get around these people that can help you. You lean on what do they have to say? When I got my license, I went to the gym. About a week later, I was at the gym, went to go sit in the steam room, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, it's time for me to open up myself and be vulnerable and start sharing that I'm a real estate agent without tattooing it on my forehead. There's this guy, a tall guy across from me, and started just chit-chatting with them. And of course, I want to lead into that I'm a real estate agent. So I asked him, I said, oh, what's your name? And I didn't know him at the time. He goes, oh, my name's Lee Rogenkamp. And I go, oh, what do you do? I'm in real estate. God dang it.
So you're trying to just float out there. Like, this guy might be looking to buy or sell a house, potential prospect. I'm just going to just chit chat, and then he just happens to be like a competitor, and you're like, damn it.
And Lee's a really great guy, and I leaned on him and I asked him the question: I said, what is some advice you would give me as a new agent? And instead of just giving me advice, he gave me 2 hours of his time, of course, during COVID. And we did a Zoom call for 2 hours, and we sat there, and he just gave me a ton of information. But that's what it takes. You're not the expert. You got to lean on the ones that know what they're doing. You got to be able to ask them those questions, because they're going to give you stuff that you're going to continue to think of this day. Lee gave me great advice. Said, focus on what you do best. Don't focus on trying to save 25 cents on a door hanger that you can make that back on. Don't try to save $400 in marketing. Give somebody else who's a professional that can do it, and focus on what you do best. And it's paid off dividends.
That's so awesome. That whole background is so cool. And we could dissect each little phase too. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm seeing paradigm shifts, after you have a near-death experience, right? Like light bulb moment, something switches and you're like, okay.
Oh, it was shocking.
Yeah. No pun intended. But that's a huge life event, and you're like, okay, I have to look at the world in my life different now and make decisions accordingly. And then the fact that you went into the military because it paid for college, it was a strategic financial decision too, because you wanted education, but you also wanted it covered. So you're like, okay, I can see how your mind works a little bit, because not everyone's, I want to go to the military because I want free school. It's maybe I want military because it's the only option or whatever. So wanted free school out of it. And then, I mean, you glossed over the business that you started, but that was like a lawn care and maintenance business, right?
Yeah. So working in corporate, it was fun, right? It had its perks and it had its cons. And I just thought though, being there for 3 years, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30 wasn't my, I didn't really enjoy it, right? And I knew after being there for a while, it just was not a long-term for me. I could, you stay there for 30 years and maybe make 30,000 more from the time you started. So after walking away or basically stepping away from there, it was kind of that opportunity I saw in the Lakes country that we don't have a lot of property management out there, right? Not so much on like Airbnb or rentals or anything, but it's a property that you have to maintain. You got a dynamic of people that are coming from the cities and are traveling to their second home. And this is a group of people who probably have disposable income because they have a second property. And of course, every cabin's going to have a boat, a jet ski, water toys. Probably you have a Ranger to zip up and down on. So
I mean, what's the point of a cabin if you don't have that?
Right, you got to have toys.
First world problems, but
you got to have the accoutrement.
So it was, and I love Lakes country. So I started a company that we focus primarily on maintaining every aspect of that cabin that you own. So it could be turnkey from the time you leave, from the time you arrive. And in 1 year, we were over 200 clients, and it grew fast. Year number 2, I already had my license and kind of wanted to focus on real estate while getting it to grow. But then kind of there was quite a bit of events, or obviously it was hard to find workers at that time. And then my wife was pregnant with our second, and I was getting ready to go to the lake, and it was the typical burning the candle at both ends. And I was getting ready to go to the lake, and all of a sudden my wife woke up with back pain. Like, well, honey, are you okay? And she's in the medical field. So she's like, yep, go ahead. And so I was getting ready. I was about to walk out the door, and she yells my name. Well, she had an emergency. And so we had to rush to the emergency room, ended up having an emergency C-section. Daughter came into the world.
Wow.
Oh gosh, 4 or 5 weeks early. And it was just at that point, it was time for a change. I was burning too many candles, and everything kind of overlapped itself too. Because I was sitting in an open house, and this gentleman comes walking in, and he owns Precision Lawn and Landscape, Skylar Akeson. And he came in, and all of a sudden he was looking at a house for his brother, and him and I just got to talking, and I found out he owned Precision. I didn't even know. I knew about it, but I didn't know too much about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up striking up a really good relationship. He was at the house for over an hour, and we just sat there and talked. And I asked him the same thing that I asked Lee. What's advice that you'd give me as a young entrepreneur to take off? And he gave me some really good advice. So we got to talking. Then after that life event, I ended up he reached out. He's like, hey, Jarred, would you like to get lunch? And I ended up selling my business over to Precision. And I came on for about 2 years as their director to just help them grow, continue the company, continue the growth. And then after doing that, and then I had a third child, that it was, okay, it's time to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And real estate opened that door. I was still managing multiple things, still practicing as a real estate agent, but it was that point on owning a business was great. And I loved it. And it gave me an opportunity to sell a $1.5 million home, but it was also one of those, I can't do both.
Yeah.
So
what was like the time frame, or how long was it from when you got shocked?
Lit up.
I don't know.
Lit
up. I like that.
Got lit up.
to when you started doing what you're doing now.
That was St. Patrick's Day 2009 is when I got electrocuted, and I'm part Irish. So there must be some luck of Irish somewhere.
Yeah.
So basically 2009,
like
11 12 years.
How long was it from that to the time you started your first business?
2020, March 1st, 2020, the LLC went live.
Okay.
And
So it's a good chunk of time. So you were like doing corporate work and like just the standard blueprint
of getting started, right?
The main reason I ask is because I think it's nice to point out that it's not like this thing happened to you and then you were like, I'm going to start a business, and then 2 days later you were running a successful business, right? There was time and effort and all these things that went into it. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right. And our lives are basically like a canvas, right? And your life's picture is being painted every single day you're awake. And that's essentially each stroke of the brush was just kind of culminating to where we're at. Mm-hmm. And so when I had my accident, it was definitely an eye-opening experience. I tried to go back to work afterwards, and I would stand 15 feet away. It was during the flood of 2009, of course. And I would stand 15 feet away and say, nope, you ain't moving me, man. I'm bigger than you. I promise. I'm not going anywhere. But after trying to get back into it, right, get back on the horse, it just wasn't going to happen. Mm. And I just knew after that, it wasn't going to be my forte. And I had to have shoulder surgery, and that was a 6-month recovery. That at that point, it was time for me to do a change. So I went back to school. I was 21 years old, went back to NDSU, and that was kind of my point. And so when I had my accident, of course, my brother was in the Guard at the time too. I called him, I go, Jordan, what do you think I should do as far as getting into the Guard? And he goes, talk to my buddy. He's a recruiter for the North Dakota Guard. What's his name? Derek Brandenburg. And of course now, Derek's got a pretty good name, but Derek helped me get into the Guard. And that Guard experience taught me again who I am today. It allowed me to grow, and it allowed me to get my school paid for, got my bachelor's degree, and then worked here. And my wife actually got into NP school out in Washington, D.C. So we moved out to Washington, D.C. 2014 for her grad program. And while we were out there, worked in law enforcement sector with juveniles in various capacities. Dang. And then we moved back, and I tried to work at Cass County Sheriff's, and it was fun. There's again that growing point, and but it wasn't my calling. I just wasn't happy. So then it was time to step away, worked corporate, which was okay, and then managed to start a company and then be able to be where I'm at today.
What ultimately made you want to start a company? Like, how come
freedom?
How come you didn't just try to go work another job making a ton of money?
Freedom. It came, right? I knew that money wasn't going to be there right away, but it was the fact I couldn't go back to, you need to be here at 8:30 or you need to be here at 8 until 4:30. Everybody's got their own way, right? And I don't have any discredit towards those people that are okay with an 8 to 5. That's great. They wouldn't be okay probably waking up not knowing when their next paycheck's coming.
Yeah. Right? That's not for the faint of heart, for
right?
Sure.
There's got to be that switch in your mind that says, I don't know when the spigot's going to turn off. I got to go now while I can. And so you got to be able to wake up in our industry and continue to drive every day. But meanwhile, if you're okay working a corporate job 8 to 5, or you're okay with that, good for you. That's your calling. That's what you like to do.
No, that's not what we're building here, Jared.
not for our misfits out there.
But for me, I had to get away from it. All my life, I that's what I was used to, accustomed to it in the military, working as an electrician, and then working in the military, and then law enforcement, and then corporate. It got to a point where I'm like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of. When I first started in the corporate, and I would have to I remember I got called into the manager's office because I didn't lock my screen. And that was a huge problem. And of course, I had a desk that had a door on it. And of course, but that's kind of that mentality. And it just wasn't I didn't want to go back to that. I wanted to go for more. I felt like I was worth more. I like to connect with people. I'm much more of an extrovert.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I think a lot of people listening, me personally, I'm listening to that. I'm like, I can relate to so much of that, like freedom. You want the freedom to do what you want, when you want, however you want, Yep. And usually that just comes with money. Like financial freedom helps and gives you options to live your life the way you want on your terms every day. The hard part is everyone wants it. Not everyone knows how to get it or has the resources. So like here we're just trying to educate, inspire, like motivate, like all that stuff in kind of like a fun way, and talking about like the challenges in a realistic, like actionable tip kind of way.
For a lot of people that want to start their own thing or do their own thing or run their own thing, the W-2 jobs just isn't what makes them happy. It's not what you want to do. It's not an inviting thing.
Well, and it's a security blanket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes you comfortable. When every week you're going to get your check, or every pay period your check's coming in, you have a retirement account, you have health insurance, like all of those things, they make you comfortable. They're incentives for a reason, right?
Yeah. You got your PTO, right. You got a potluck every once in a while.
Man, I could not go back and have to say, hey, can I get Tuesday off because it's my son's birthday, or make a request for it?
Yeah.
No way. Absolutely will never happen again.
Yeah. It's that kind of thing. It can feel like a cage for certain people. Some people, it's their comfort zone. The other people, it's like oppressing.
You got to have somebody that's going to stand behind you. And I got to get a shout out to my wife. She watched the kids a lot, and she was always supportive of everything that I did. It was a risk because, again, it didn't just impact me. It impacted her and impacted my daughter that we had at the time.
Yeah.
So there's a big, big fear on being able to take that risk. But if you don't have that support structure, it can be a lot harder.
Yeah.
So like for me, I was very fortunate to have a wife that stood behind me, that supported me, took care of the kids while I was busy working.
Paid bills too, like her income. She was still working, right?
Yep, still working. And so obviously being able to kind of subsidize us during the growth.
Yeah.
And there's multiple times where I slept out at the lake for an entire week while she slept in town and was here with the kids and back and forth from work and daycare. So having that was kind of irreplaceable.
One needs to understand it. and needs to trust you and be on board. My wife is an introvert, not a risk taker, and I'm an extrovert risk taker. So we complement each other, but also like her being the support person for like my dreams basically, and all that effort I want to put toward it. She's also taking on that risk when she's not a risky person. So you're asking someone to take on your like burden a little bit. And, you know, like your spouse is a great person. If you don't have a spouse, you know, like you're at a little bit of a disadvantage, but there are other ways. You know, it's not everyone needs that spouse. There are other ways to still get ahead and still pursue your stuff, but it just might look a little different for someone in a different situation.
To me, I just have faith in myself. Right. And that's, you want to succeed. You start a business, whether that's you're supplying a service or you're out there as a real estate agent trying to sell yourself. I'll be perfectly frank, guys. I don't sell houses, but I sell myself.
Yes.
I meet with a total random stranger at a random house that I'm saying, trust me. But for the most part, if you can sit there and you can get a person to at least laugh when you meet them and you can kind of connect with them, I always try to do, it's called an icebreaker, where when you meet with somebody, how do I get you to laugh? You know, if it means I got to be the punchline, so be it, but I got you to laugh.
Yeah.
And I was able to at least break down that barriers when we meet a random person who's in sales, right? You guys go to a car dealership. How many people approach you and all of a sudden, hey, can I help you? What are you looking for? You put a wall up. I don't care who you are. There's a 100%. Wall that goes right up. You're instantly like, oh, I'm just looking. I'm just window shopping, right? And you kind of like, leave me alone. But if I'm meeting you, random person, random house, at whatever scheduled time, I got to break that wall. And that icebreaker is huge. And that's connecting a relationship with your customer. So then when you leave there, that they will use you again. And then if you can go show them a second house, you have a really good opportunity that they're going to work with you until they find one.
Gold advice right there.
Yeah.
Everybody rewind, listen to that again, take notes.
Icebreaker, number one.
Yeah.
You know, that's my thing is I'll be perfectly frank. I'm not a type of person who can sit in a meeting and not crack a joke. Yeah. You know, I was a class clown.
Me too.
Yep. I'm very informal. This is the most formal you'll probably see me dressed up. But to me, it's just keep it casual.
Yeah.
Be real. If you can be a genuine person and you can just be real with them, and they know it. People can sense out bullshit pretty easily. Don't be afraid for me, I'll walk through your house and I even tell people I sound like a horrible salesperson because I'll point out the flaws. I'll point out like, hey guys, look over here, see the foundation, it's cracking, or maybe we just got rain and you can see there's moisture in it.
But I feel like that builds trust.
Exactly.
Yeah. Expertise shows your expertise and stuff. And it's stuff that they know that probably have to, in the back of their mind, they know that they have to address it anyway.
Right. Be able to just, again, point out the flaws, the issues. You feel a shift in the floor when you're walking through it. Kind of call that out. Hey guys, feel this out a little bit. Because if you can be truthful and honest like that, it's going to go tenfold. They're going to appreciate it. They're going to refer you, and the sky is the limit.
So entrepreneur, business owner, real estate agent, what is like a misconception that people on the outside tend to think about people like that maybe isn't true? Or
I think a lot of people, again, I'm going to rewind back to Skylar. I mean, he honestly was a huge, that guy has been very successful, and I've picked his brain time and time again. And there's this idea that when you see the successes, that's all that people see. They're only seeing the front facing portion of it, right? So they're seeing maybe the new vehicles or the real estate that you're purchasing and the front facing materialistic things. But what they're not seeing is I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday night doing paperwork. You know, they're not seeing that there's many evenings that I don't eat dinner with my family. Yeah, they're not seeing that. This weekend for Mother's Day, we're going out to our lake place, but I got to go show 2 cabins while I'm out there on a Saturday. So
just the sacrifices and the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Like you said, you spent the week at at a cabin when you were building up the business, while working.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they'll see that, you know, they see or they don't see that because they'll see the things that you're able to build with that wealth, or the things that you're doing with the money that you're getting. But what they're not seeing is the late nights and the early mornings and the constant office paperwork. That's the part that's highly missed. So yeah, it's never easy. You know, you even think about just the fact that if you want to really be successful as a business owner, as an independent contractor, as just somebody who's invested in themselves, you got to outwork the next person. And that's where if Eric is sales leader for the month, it's like, God dang it, I know I can work harder. You know, and again, it's just that competitive nature, that trigger that's got to get turned, because that's what it takes. Yeah. And once you work hard and you're willing to do it day in and day out, You answer your phone. I've missed 3 phone calls now since we just started, and I guarantee there will be 3 more. Plus, I got a few text messages still.
Yeah.
So, that's what people don't see.
Yeah.
My cell phones last for about 1 year, and then I got to replace it because the battery is shot just like that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. From the outside looking in, I've had guests on here that will be like, if I knew how much work it was going to be, like, I don't know if I would have like started, because like there's so many ups and downs and unknowns. It does take a Herculean effort sometimes.
I left my corporate job right before the holidays of 2019. And right before Christmas of 2019. And then the LLC didn't go live until March 1st. That 3-month window that I had available, I was in my office downstairs in a house just like this, down in the basement on my computer desk 8 hours a day, putting together the webpage, putting together the customers list, the front facing things, getting everything ready to go. So when we hit the ground running, we were ready in a well-oiled machine. Yeah, people didn't see that. They didn't see that I would sit there, my kids would be sick and my wife had to work. I stayed home. Right. And that's the part that's highly missed. But at the end of the day, if you have a little bit of a work ethic, it's not hard.
Yeah.
So for people listening and they're like, yeah, I understand. And I've heard Eric and Dan talk about this with their guests. Like it's going to be a lot of work. We're trying to set realistic expectations, but also link it with the end result or the upswing, saying it is worth it on the other side of all that hard work. But it's a lot of front loading and it's a lot of late nights, long days, sacrifices, and not to even mention like the mental strain. We could get into that too. Like there's all kind of the mental game.
I used to be a lot skinnier.
That says it all. But like, pairing those two, like realistic expectation of what it's going to take to accomplish the goals you want. Because if you want this lifestyle where you're not attached to your phone all the time, you can travel to other countries, or you're not like in a cubicle, everyone wants that. No one wants to put in the work. But if you get those people that are, I'm ready to put that work in. I want that life. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm ready to do it. I want to link those two with actionable tips and like reassurance that, okay, if you can get through all that hard stuff, it becomes worth it. The first 3 years might suck. Being a real estate agent or like being a real estate investor or just a business owner, like the first few years are going to be worse than your day job. Probably expect that. But then the next 3 years are going to be the same. And then the next 3 years are going to be way better. And then it just takes off. But not a lot of people want or can delay gratification and be out of their comfort zone for that long. Because there's so many unknowns, because they're like, when's it going to start working? When's it going to start working? And then they quit when it was going to start working the next day or the next month.
It's don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. If you don't have a fear to be successful, you have to be okay with fear. You have to be able to digest it and just know that you'll get through it. Yeah. Right.
That's normal, right? The fear is normal. Right. You want a healthy fear.
You start a job, there's fear.
Yeah.
Right. You start even if it's a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job, there's still fear there because you're doing something different. Yeah. But there's the comfort that you have people around you. You have the paycheck that's coming in, and you'll eventually kind of fake it till you make it or figure it out. And that's the same thing. It's, I think the big thing too for listeners is we say it's hard, or we say it's a hustle, and it is, but it's not unattainable. Yeah. It's just, you got to be able to go and do it. And if you believe in yourself, you can, right? As we invest into ourselves. That's what we do as agents. When I go and I invest into marketing strategies or marketing pools or lead generations, I'm just investing in myself. Because again, back to earlier, I don't sell houses, I sell myself. And I have to be able to do that. And you got to have faith to do it, because if you can, again, the sky's the future.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had it was actually my tattoo artist, but she
shout out to
I was at Hannah Montgomery.
We're doing all kind of shout outs.
Feather and Fang Tattoo Studio. But I was talking to her actually about when I was talking to Eric about coming on board, and I'm like, yeah, I really want to and all this stuff, but I'm a little worried about whatever. And we were just, hanging out, talking about random stuff. And she goes, it's not true for everything, but she goes, if you're not afraid of, or if there's not a little fear there, then it's probably not worth doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Okay. Like,
if you're listening and you're afraid to take the jump, take the jump. Yeah. Because that fear is going to be your catalyst to success.
Yeah.
It's going to be your diesel fuel to keep going forward. That if you're not afraid, then I would definitely, be a little, probably don't do it. If you got to have that little bit in you, it's kind of like managing people. And if I had somebody who made a mistake, right, and it cost the company money, or they did something that ultimately they weren't supposed to, right, and it was a genuine mistake, if they were remorseful about it and beating themselves up, nothing that I did or could do to them would hurt them more than just already how they're affecting themselves. And ultimately, if they step up and said, I screwed up, I made a mistake, hey, it doesn't matter, because you're beating yourself up more than anything that I can do to you. And if you didn't have that reaction, then I would be more concerned, because you clearly care, right? Yeah. So if you're afraid of taking that leap, that's good. That's your jet fuel to being able to get to where you want to go. That fear, you got to be able to digest it and drive forward and drive past it. And it's got to be that competitive nature where I know I'm better. I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And if you believe in yourself, man, it is the most rewarding career you can get into.
Yeah. How bad do you want it?
Yep.
Like how bad do you want it? And how are you holding yourself accountable?
Yeah. Those burns and in my industry, you get people who they'll step on you and walk on you. And like, I'll never forget one time Rob asked to go get lunch. And so him and I, we went and we got lunch, and then we went and got a coffee at a Starbucks, and we're going through the Starbucks drive-thru. And I asked him, I said, what's some advice you would give me? Right. New agent getting started in this. And he looked and he goes, have thick skin. You got to be able to have that thick skin, because there's going to be disappointment. You think you got the deal, and then all of a sudden you find out they used a different agent. That happened to me.
That happens countless times.
But I didn't, right? It was kind of like, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I didn't think you would burn me like this. But I think that's in the industry too. You're going to work with people, and ultimately, they're going to shop around, or they're going to go somewhere else. And you think you have the deal in the bag, and it's going to punch you in the gut, but don't let it hold you down.
That's true.
Don't be afraid to fall on your face and get back up again.
If you expect that going in, like, it's going to be hard. There's going to be things where I'm going to be mildly disappointed, like I have a flat tire or something. Or there's going to be big things where, like, I just lost a $5 million listing for no reason, or just like you get sued. If you go in and like you listen to enough of these podcasts, you hear enough of people's experience, you can reasonably think like, I'm going to have some setbacks. And in your mind, never paint a picture where you're like, this is all going to be easy. It's going to be straight line, vertical growth the whole time. Like it's linear growth. That's unrealistic. It's part of the journey. So like you can start as an entrepreneur, you can start as a business owner, real estate agent, just knowing you're going to lose a client someday to a competitor for nothing you did wrong. Sometimes it will be something you did wrong. Like sometimes it could be both. Like, I don't know, but you will be disappointed at times. You will be disappointed with other people, especially in the people business, because we're all human.
Yep.
So some of the things that help your success will be because we're all just a bunch of dumb humans, and that will work in your favor sometimes. But it'll also burn you.
Shout out there too.
Well, like, I mean, no one's perfect. Everyone makes bad decisions, even like your best friends,
Hey.
Especially your best friends.
Oh.
Don't worry.
I've never
He didn't
made a
shout you
mistake in
out
my
on
life.
that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's all about setting your expectations
100%.
and dialing it in. So if you know going into it, like, there's gonna be these things, it softens the blow a little bit.
Yep.
And it's not gonna, and you're like, when that happens, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna quit. I might cry a little, maybe, but I'm not going to quit.
Give yourself that digestion phase, right? Or digestive phase where it's going to happen. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. You're going to have a client that's going to walk away from you, going to betray you, is going to go somewhere else and shop the market. It will happen, but let yourself have your pity party and move on.
Yep.
And that's where, like I said, when Rob gave me that advice, like have thick skin, it hits true every time. That happens. And luckily now I've gotten busy enough to a point where you don't want to use me. I really don't want to work with you then. And that's what I think allows you to think that you made it, that you feel a lot more comfortable. So when those do happen, it doesn't hurt as much as it did in the beginning.
Yes.
Because you've built your base up enough and you've been successful enough that one, I'll see you later. Because I have a group of clients who are amazing people that I get lucky enough to get to work with every single day. Yeah. That those are the ones that I would rather keep you, because they're not only their client and your customer, but they're your friends. I called.
You care about them.
Yeah. I called one. I had a client who last fall we closed on her property, and then all of a sudden they're having some issues with some pipes freezing on the kitchen sink. So called a friend of mine, shout out Dennis Britton from Great Britain Home Inspection.
We're shouting out every local.
He came out and him and I had just gotten done with a home inspection, and he diverted right to her house and was able to help reassure that everything was okay.
Wow.
But I wanted to reassure. So last night I called her because the weather's getting warmer, And I was just, hey, have you been running your AC? Have you been noticing these issues? Is everything okay? Anything with the house? That check-in is so minor. It took me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was so simple, but it means a lot to them because I don't want to get a call from a client that's, hey, my furnace just blew out. I got to put a whole new furnace in, or they don't want the house anymore.
Love that. Like, even though it's not even your problem, you're just, as a realtor, you're basically facilitating the transaction, right? But you're adding all this other stuff just to be professional and relationship builder.
If I don't know the answer, I'll find someone who does.
Yeah.
Right. And with the deal with the AC unit on hers is I have a client who I helped sell his place and buy a place, and he owns an AC or a mechanic company. Called him about it, and he instantly was able to diagnose it, and we fixed it. And everything was fine.
Nice.
So at that point, it's selling yourself, right? That house spoke for itself. They bought it. They liked it. Everybody has their own style, their own selections and what they want to go for.
You're not going to force someone to buy a house.
Yeah.
Right. And you take care of your clients, the ones that care and the ones that you want to work with, they'll come back to you. The one that came back on Saturday and I helped them sell a $900,000 lake place, just like that on a Saturday while building my wife's garden bed. It's something where you take care of your clients and they'll take care of you. You get the ones that want to come in and they're not loyal, or basically you can kind of tell that they're just feeling you out. Do the icebreaker, see if you can get them to laugh, build a relationship, a connection.
Yeah.
But you don't have to sit here and try to sell. You just got to connect.
They got to know, like, and trust you, you need all three.
Be able to say, if they ask you questions, say, I don't know.
Yeah, if you don't know.
I don't know.
Back to like bullshitter can smell a bullshit. Don't bullshit a bullshit.
Don't bullshit a bullshit.
Yeah. What is the one thing that you would say is like what holds people back from actually getting started and taking those first steps? Entrepreneurship, starting a business, whatever it might be.
I think just go, right? I think a lot of people have this kind of just tunnel vision on there's a way to do it. There's not an A, B, C, D laid out plan on the way to do it. You just got to go. Like we were talking about earlier is just, you got to jump in all in or not, right? You can't just dip your toe. I'll say even in our industry, you can't be part-time if you really want to be successful, because you do it part-time. The industry is changing. I've had even people that I've worked with who they're in a debacle of issues. You got to be able to do this full-time. You got to be able to just jump in and go for it. And I think in entrepreneurship, especially, you got to have that faith in yourself. If you're scared to do it, just go. Don't try to dip your toe. That's what I did. Right. I tried to balance a business. I tried to balance real estate, and then I sold a business and helped manage another one while balancing real estate. And I'll never forget, during that whole time, guys, our transaction coordinator kept coming to me and she kept saying, you should go full time, Jarred. And it's just, again, that you got to jump in all or nothing. So
you think people are just afraid to do that, or do you think they just procrastinate too much?
I think they're afraid. You know, honestly, it's either you want to do it or you don't. I guess that's kind of my mentality is, either you want to do it or you don't. And I was the same, like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I kept weighing back and forth. And I was comfortable with that steady job, with the steady check. I had a company vehicle. I had everything that a typical employee has. But then I had to take that leap of faith and just go out there and get it.
Do you think, like, is that a normal thing to go through? Talking to a lot of these people, and even like my experience, it's not like you have a day where you think about leaving and then the next day you're quitting.
Right.
It's like you kind of go through this period of like, is this the right thing? Is this a good move? Like all this stuff before you jump. Like, is that normal?
Think of like where you're at, right? If you're not happy, you're sitting at that desk or that cubicle and you're sitting there and day in and day out. If you're not happy, are you going to be happy 30 years down the road?
Right.
Right. Like, do you want to continue to live in this puddle of misery, or do you want to change? It could be switching to another job. But if you're thinking about how do I be able to gain that financial freedom and the time back with your family and things that are going to be nice for you, then it doesn't hurt to jump out there and go and do it. Right. You just never know what could come of it.
Yeah. And
that's that fear factor on the unknown. It's a path that you're going, and you're not going to have answers.
Yeah.
You're not going to have everything. You're not going to know everything.
There's no right answer. There is no right answer necessarily. Like there's no, like you said earlier, there's no one path that everyone takes.
Yep.
It's like you just kind of forge your own path to a degree.
Talking about different paths, different opportunities, how to get started, things like that. If you had to suggest one skill to somebody, like, hey, spend time right now developing this one skill.
That's a good question.
What would you recommend that people work on for that skill that is going to be valuable to them starting out and maybe even farther down the road?
People skills.
People skills?
Yeah, in what I do, right? And I think it depends on what field you're planning to be in. But for me, it's people skills. It's again right back to just connecting with people. But I think like if you're getting into something like Eric does, investing, you got to be able to understand a lot more. And that's how we met. I'm not going to be the one to ask about, is this a good investment property? Because I can sell you a house all day long and sell your house all day long, but it's a completely different realm when it comes to investing. You know, there's so much more that you need to think about, so much more that you need to go into. And in that case, I went to an investor meetup group, and that's how Eric and I met. But that's what it takes. If you want to invest into growing yourself or your business, or what do you focus on? To me, it's just relationships. That's key, because nobody in this world is going to make it all on their own. And I lean on Eric with questions, and everybody's going to lean on each other. Shout out to Eric.
Then I turn around and Google everything and
YouTube University.
That's such great advice. Like networking and relationships and people skills. Successful people love go-getters, because they see themselves 10, 20 years earlier. They're like, oh, that was me hustling, grinding, not knowing what the future holds, but like going for it. You know, they'll give you information. They'll give you free time if they think you'll respect their time and actually put their advice into action. You know, if someone comes to me and is like, I need advice, and then I see that they don't take it, I spend an hour with them and they don't do anything, I'm like, waste. But like just having someone you can ask questions, ask for advice, and then if you're willing to take action on people's good advice, they know what they're talking about. Like if
100%.
someone says like, this works, go do that, there's no reason not to do it.
It takes one. I mean, honestly, it only takes one.
So all you gotta do is like, take someone out to lunch, take someone out to like coffee or whatever, pick their brain, and then take action on their advice. And like you're already leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, because you're actually taking advice on stuff that someone else has done and it works.
Exactly.
So
they've been through it, right? They've done it already.
Yeah.
So you're not reinventing the wheel here.
You don't need to.
It's just ask those people, right? Ask them. They're willing to help you. That's the part I think we get afraid of, is to ask for help. You know, and they're in their position because they did the same thing and they worked hard, and what works for them. And sometimes what works for them may not work for you, but ultimately, if you can figure out what's going to be the best fit, you can go anywhere.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do here, Misfit Millionaires here. Millionaire Misfits. I don't even know the name of our podcast. But like, this is kind of like networking. This is kind of like people skills in a way. It's a good start. You get to listen in on, you know, for an hour on all these different successful people's experience. And then if you can find a couple that really resonates with you, boom, I'm motivated. I'm making decisions about committing to this course of action, because like that guy sounds like me. I want what he has, so I'm going to go for it. And it gives you that confidence.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be afraid. You know, it's going to be, there is a fear portion that's always going to be there, whether you're 1 year in the industry or 30 years in the industry. Yeah. But man, just go out and get it. It's there. Fargo's big enough for everybody here. There's more than enough to do. You know, and there's opportunities that can be completely endless. And in real estate, you don't just buy and sell. You can invest, you can flip, you can short-term and long-term, Airbnb, you can wholesale. There's so many different things that you can get into in just the real estate aspect. Yeah. You want to go and start mowing lawns, go ahead. Yeah. You know, go and start mowing and start doing what you feel is best fit for you. If you love doing something, go do it. It's completely your own canvas to paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
to say there's going to be a little suck in there in the beginning, but you know,
100% suck.
Well, I mean, but I love that. That's a great idea. Like try to tamp down the fear a little bit. Keeping a good, healthy fear is probably normal, but don't let it stop you from asking, how can I make this work? Not like, oh, I'm scared, I better not try. I found the Bigger Pockets podcast. Shout out Bigger Pockets podcast, the OG. But I found the podcast. I listened to everything everyone had to say, like hundreds of hours, literally hundreds of hours. And I'm like, these guys are not that smart. They're not anything special. They've just taken these specific steps, which I've now internalized because I've listened to so much. I get it. And then they just consistently did it over time. So I kind of did it as like, not like a side hustle, but I educated myself on the side and I saved on the side. And then we bought a couple properties. And then eventually I hard stop, went full time. And then it was way less risky because Nicole's salary like floated all of our living expenses. But I mean, like, let's say you're single, You could save 6 months worth of living expenses and then take the leap. You can find ways to mitigate the risk if you want, but never say I can't or I won't, or, you know, just turn your brain off. Like always just say like, how can I make this work? If you want that end goal, if you want to be selling,
be willing to solve the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
There's never, like we said, there's never really a direct answer. There's going to be, you can be in the industries for 10 years. I don't care what you do, but I guarantee you everybody who's an entrepreneur or a business owner, they get curveballs thrown at them every single day that they got to figure out. And you're fighting for it. Dana White even says, if you want to be a business owner, you're going to fight for it. You're going to fight it every day. You're married to it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care if you think that it's as glamorous as you want it to be. You're married to that thing, and you'll spend more time as a business owner doing stuff to it than any other employee will spend
doing stuff to it.
Like you're constantly trying to just make progress. You guys ever seen the movie To Catch Me If You Can?
Oh yeah.
And you remember when his dad stands up there after you won an award and he talked about the two mice when they fell into a bucket of cream, and one just sunk to the bottom, the other one kept churning and churning and fighting until it turned into butter, and then he walked right out. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's honestly the difference between whether you want to walk out or you want to sink to the bottom. Exactly.
I like that analogy. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, we like to start with the misfit moment a little bit. You know, when you were first starting out, did you have like a, I don't belong here, like, what am I doing? Or a doubt yourself kind of moment you remember?
What don't I remember now? 100%. Again, I was just fake it till you make it. And yeah, you just had to, I remember showing up to that $1.5 million listing, and I had a sport jacket on with a tie and, you know, had everything. I took an entire day to prep my pitch on why you should sell this, pulled the comps and rehearsed in my office, sat down, and it worked out. Right. But I didn't know everything. Right. I did it. And I actually was going to go different brokerage than where am now. And because of the fact that they had a great starting program for agents. And every Wednesday there was a class that you had to go to for 6 months. And I liked that. It was going to help me. But then I talked to Rob, and he's like, give me 15 minutes of your time. And man, I had to call back to that brokerage and say, I'm sorry. And I think even to this day, there's moments like I just don't feel like I'm there. But it's always because I'm trying to attain more, and I'm always trying to grow, and I'm always trying to become better. So I feel more confident in what I'm doing today than I did then. But that's kind of how I've always learned in my life, was just whatever. I'm just jumping all in on this one and just figure it out. If I fall flat, I'm okay with it.
When you were starting your first business, did you ever have like I don't think this is going to work, or like, man, I don't know if I can make this work?
Yeah.
Or...
Oh yeah, there's 100%. You know, because one of the things we did is we sprayed properties. And the closest thing to spraying I ever did was a water fight prior to that. I figured it out. I reached out to these people from Jamestown that they own a spray company out there, and they helped coach me through. I leaned on the experts, but there's many moments that I would be driving, working by myself, working 14, 16 hours a day outside, thinking, God, what am I doing? But there was a bigger picture there. You know, and I constantly was having clients sign up. I had clients that even wrote me letters that were saying thank you. And that was kind of that driving portion of it.
Nice.
So yeah, there's obviously many times you doubt yourself, but also I'm one where I'm like, maybe I'm just too stubborn to say I failed, right? And I'm just gonna, I'll stand there with my leg bleeding out and say I'm fine, right?
There's definitely stubbornness can be a double-edged sword, but it definitely can help. Like not knowing when to quit is definitely a good skill to have. Like, oh, I'm just gonna force it.
Yeah. Yep. But I think the whole, what keeps going is, again, not wanting to failure, but then it's also, I want to make sure my customers are happy. So it's just, you know, that failure portion isn't just on myself. It's because I want to make sure I don't fail my clients.
Yeah. Before we move into the millionaire moment, the flip side of that, talking about getting started and like fear of failure and fears and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. I do like this question, but like looking back to when you were first getting started in business and you had all these normal fears at the beginning, right? Like anxieties, like self-doubt. Looking back at that time, knowing what you know now about like the entire path, how many of those fears that were kind of like worrying you at the beginning actually came to happen? Like what percentage, if you had to put a number to it?
1.
1%.
You know, because it was like I said, my fear was failing my clients. I would say, yeah, less than 1% of those actually ever came to fruition, because it just always lingers in the back of my head. It's always sitting there. And that's the driving factor. When we talk about failure, it isn't really even so much just failing as a business owner. It's failing the clients that you need to take care of.
So like the fears don't just go away. I don't think you're saying be fearless, but like you're going to have those fears. And because you have them, they won't happen.
Well, I'll turn it around. And if you had a 9-to-5 job and you have a task that needs to get done by a specific time, what's your driving factor on getting that job done?
Not getting hassled by my boss.
Right. That too. Or losing your job, right?
Yeah.
There's a fear on losing your job, or fear of having repercussions that come of it. And that's the same thing. We always are going to have something that's going to have a recourse with it. But if you can use that, you just never know who you're going to meet. And it's amazing to me. And that gentleman that I refer to primarily, he drives around in a GMC pickup and wears a flannel shirt.
Nice.
You would never attribute, you never realize his successes and who he is.
I love that.
To me, it's like, that's ideal, right? He's a multimillionaire and I don't even want to know how many times again. But to me, it's like, you don't know it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, look at Warren Buffett. The guy still lives in a house that he's had since the 70s, I think, and drives around in a Honda vehicle. You ever seen Jeff Bezos when he was worth $10 billion driving around in a Honda Civic? You know, this was back, I think, in the early thousands. But that's the cool thing, right? You just, those are the type of people that I absolutely admire. Yeah. That they've made it. They're doing out there, they're crushing it. But yet they're humble to their beginnings. Yeah.
So speaking of making it,
what's your millionaire moment?
I think it was probably the moment I hit the Platinum Club. You can look it up. 100% Club is you make 100,000 in commission. Platinum Club is 250. Chairman's over 5. And I hit Platinum Club and I remember doubting my abilities to ever even hit it. Cleared 250, but then last year I was just shy of chairman.
Dang.
So to me, like, that's the part that that kind of woke me up, right? That again, that millionaire moment was realizing that if I invest into myself and I truly believe in what I'm doing and I treat customers right and I become better and grow as a person, then it just can continue to take up. So that was probably when I hit Platinum Club and I thought, holy crap. I remember looking at people when they made it when I first started thinking, wow, those agents, they're going great. And we have great agents in our community. And I just thought, like, God, what are they doing? How do I get to that point? And then when I attained it, I wanted a little more. Right? I wanted to continue to get better and bigger.
So I have a feeling I know the answer here. but what's like your next goal then?
Chairman is for sure. I definitely want to hit that. But I look at it too as continue that growth. So for me, that next step to me is investing, being able to have that passive income, not all my eggs in one basket right now. And our market luckily is very insulated from volatilizations. But to me, it's all right, let my money work for me. Right. And how do I find a passive income source that's going to continue in 10 years? You can have $5-6 million to offload. That's to me, that next step is, where do I continue the growth in our industry? I've been very lucky to be where I'm at, but now how do I continue that equity build? And I think that's going to be in that investment realm.
Wow.
Nice.
So there's a lot of things there that there's opportunity. And honestly, I truly believe now real estate it's the path to freedom, financial freedom.
You can buy a house if you're a veteran, VA loan, 0 down.
Yeah.
Like you can literally get a house for nothing and then just let time do its thing for a few years, 5-10 years. And if you have a bunch of equity there, you can roll that into something else. It's just equity you didn't have to create. And that's what I love about real estate in general.
In the VA, you put 0 down, that house is going to appreciate in value. And say in the 10 years, it's going to go up by, let's just say minimally 60,000, right? Which I feel is a conservative number, right? And in 10 years, it goes up by 60,000. But you put 0 down, and in 10 years, you're not going to put 60,000 in equity by the time specials and taxes are factored into it. You're going to lose more money on it. So why not put 0 down? You're still making your payment, but if you put 20% down, you're going to lose more money on it anyways. So you're really profiting off of a VA loan.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you still have to maintain the property, and so like money will go into that.
Yeah, you still have a mortgage.
Yeah, you still have a mortgage. Yeah,
you're still paying your mortgage, but again, that's mortgage is better than rent.
Yeah.
And you're making a mortgage payment now, you're going to have some principal. And then again, it's going to go up in appreciation value and you're going to get all that money back. So why not take that? You put zero down. You can take the money that you would have put down on your VA loan and roll that into investment property. So now you got two things appreciating.
Yeah.
Jared, I'm going to cut you off there because Eric's going to talk about real estate tactics for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
If we stay
My main point is he wants to get into investing, and that's one vehicle to just attain your goals. Like you want to keep growing, and there's a lot of overlap with your expertise now. And if you have all that income to put towards investments, like it can be a great way to like build more wealth, like let your money make money for you, and then also achieve those like cash flow deals for like retirement and financial freedom and all that stuff.
And even if it's not an investment, right? It's only your own personal property. We're getting into the season when end of May, almost, I want to say it's 30% of people will give up their rent. They'll move on to something else. So their leases are expiring. I think it's 30%. Their leases expire in May. College is getting over, school season's getting over, that they're starting to determine where they're going to move to. And it's one where get into something. Right? Like you start thinking about where your next step is. There's a lot of excuses to it, but the numbers don't lie. There's a cost of waiting. Houses aren't going down in our neck of the woods. I'll wait for the bubble to pop. It doesn't happen here. No. The bubble's popping in Arizona and Florida and California.
Interest rates go down, and then prices will go up because all the buyers will be coming back into the market more too.
And with the tariffs that are coming into play, builders are slowing up. Right?
But like, how can you get that goal? You got to do what it takes.
It doesn't have to be the dream home at day one. Right? It doesn't have to be the number one house. When you the first house, not going to be your dream home. It's going to be a stepping stone to your dream home.
It's a means to an end.
Yep. Exactly. And be fiscally smart.
Yeah.
If you know that you're going to want to purchase a home in the future, if you got to, don't get a vehicle. Don't finance. You don't need a brand new vehicle. Right. Sorry if you.
We
be
just
smart.
talked about some of this.
Yeah. Drive a cheaper, few-year-old, reliable, low-cost vehicle. Like make the savvy moves now. Make the sacrifices on the stuff you might want a nicer car, but like what can you get by with? And you're setting your 10-year, like you're setting yourself up way better 10, 20 years down the road. Like a little bit of just delayed gratification today will pay huge dividends later.
You don't need the fancy vehicle, right? It's depreciating in value. You're not going to turn around and sell it for what you paid for it. So unless you're able to pay cash, don't go brand new, right? It's just not worth it at that point. If you're wanting to get into a home, be able to know that you set yourself up in a financial situation for it. Yeah. I can't express that enough. Figure out where you're going to sit. Be able to make sure you put yourself in a spot so when you're ready to pull the trigger, you're ready to go.
If you have the goal, there's so many different little ways to get you there. Like there's all these little strategies, and you can just pick and choose which ones work best for you. So I guess that leads me into this final question is if you had to give homework or a to-do list for someone this week who wants to get started with their own business, or even if they want to become an agent, like what's the best thing I can do and focus on this week if I wanted to knock out like the highest value, the thing that'll get me the closest to progress? What actionable tips do you got for her?
Like somebody who's already practicing or thinking about?
I'd say wanting to get started.
Has the idea, but doesn't know like where to go, what to do.
Talk to an expert.
Talk to an expert.
Talk to somebody who does it. If it's real estate, give me a call. 701-659-0149. Sorry if I don't do that on here.
Boom. No, drop it.
Give me a call. Like honestly, if it's something that you're considering, talk to the people that do it because they're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And they're going to paint the picture that either you're going to want to see or not going to want to see. If it's something, whatever field you're wanting to get into, give a person a call. Call them and just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Can I take you out to coffee? Can I take you to lunch? And just pick their brain. That's exactly what I did with Eric after we met. Hey, would you want to get coffee? Because I want to pick your brain.
Yeah.
Same thing with Lee and Rob and Sky and all these other people that I honestly look to continue my success and see what did they do to be able to be where they're at now. And if you're wanting to go out and get what you're worth, be a misfit millionaire, be an independent contractor, an entrepreneur, and succeed, and all of a sudden when you're 55 years old, have millions of dollars to say, I did it. Talk to the people that have already done it.
Yeah.
That's huge. That is huge.
You got to realize there's a lot of people that are in our city that want the same thing, but there's plenty of work for all of us.
Yeah.
And if you can build that network around you and the type of people you want, then it's going to continue to grow. I'm a true believer. This is me. My wife usually says I'm wrong.
Mine too.
But I'm a true believer that I think people naturally surround themselves with others that have the same moral compass and the same ethics. And if you can start to build people around, they're going to be the same character as you.
Yeah.
Right. And pretty soon, like, you're going to find yourself around some really great people that are all working towards the same objectives.
Have you ever heard, like, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that quote? I love that.
God. I'm in trouble.
Well, like, the people you associate with the most are going to rub off on you. You know, like, if you are just hanging out with losers, like, of course you're going to be spending time doing loser stuff.
Right.
Not to call anyone a loser, but like, people on our podcast have had pasts that are a little bit colored, you know, like they've called themselves like, oh, I've been a loser and I've grown out of it, or I've started making better decisions.
It's a jelly roll phrase. He's got a phrase.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Jelly Roll. We're gonna get him on the podcast.
Heck yeah, we will.
We have shouted out more people on this podcast. Okay. So the one thing that stands out is talk to an expert. It's scary to make that call, but who cares? You have nothing to lose.
Right.
You have nothing to lose. Call someone. You'd be just so surprised with how many people are willing to help. If you are committed to taking action on the advice they're going to give you, don't waste people's time if you're just dicking around. But yeah, if you're committed and you have that fire in your belly and people see that, I'll give you an hour, you know, and I give you more time if
100%
you take action on it.
And it's exactly, if you want to do it, you'll do it.
So let's say that somebody's like, you know, I want to do that, but maybe I'm not quite there, or they've already done that or something. In addition to that, something we like to ask is like, is there any books or podcasts or even like other, you know, influencers online or something that you would recommend people go check out to kind of help them?
For real estate?
Yeah.
In general, mindset or real estate.
Yeah, mindset, real estate, business.
You know, I like listening to like Warren Buffett. He's got some really good podcasts out there. Just his way of thinking about business and obviously just understanding like what can be exponential growth over time is really kind of cool. But I also like to listen to JT Fletcher.
Haven't heard of him.
He's an aggressive guy. Yeah. But it's like, just get up and go. Right. And that, as far as for me, it's like, just do it.
Yeah. Stop overthinking it. Just get out of your own way and just go.
Yep. Don't feel like you have to sit down. Everybody takes an approach towards things differently. So take the approach that you have to just go forward. There's not going to be just one person that's going to be able to give you the answers. Everybody's approach is going to be different. You know, I like Dana White because he's kind of got that same mentality for me, where it's just suck it up. You know, it's not going to be fun, but you're going to have to fight for it. It's not to say that you can't do it. It's not to say that it's extremely hard, but you got to be motivated. Yeah. You know, it's back to earlier and having a foundation of people that are going to be able to bring you up, because you're going to have some down times. You're going to have those times and it's going to eat you away, but you got to have those people around you that are going to continue to build you up. So to say like, is there a book? I don't read.
That's okay.
You know, I like listening to podcasts and just looking at people that have really been successful and seeing what have they done and how can I apply that to my day-to-day functions.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I'd like to me, that's what I would suggest. Cool. It's important to make sure you, again, look at those people that have done it or have been successful. And you may not be as successful as them, but if you do make it, be humble. You know, realize where your beginnings are. You don't need the fancy vehicles. You don't need all of that. It's not important. I think don't let it change who you are. Be genuine, because again, your people will take care of you, and surround yourself with those ones that are good, humble people that have the same values and moral compass.
Yeah.
And
keep you grounded. And
the last thing we have for you, Jarred, and I know you already kind of said it, but where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you or look you up or talk to you or any of that stuff?
They want to buy or sell, like Kevin.
Obviously, I'm hanging my license at Remax Legacy Realty here in town. And if you need anything at all, you're ever looking at houses, purchasing, buying, Lake Properties is a special entity. I honestly see most of my volume or gross volume come from Lakes Country, because that's what we did and that's what we maintained. So if you need anything, whether it's Lakes Country or here in town buying or selling, feel free to give me a call at 701-659-0149, or you can shoot me an email at Jarred, Jarred @legacyr.com.
Boom. That's
Sweet.
awesome. You are going to get inundated with phone calls and text messages.
Shout out Jelly Roll. Come on. pound jelly.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get him. We'll get him.
We'll get him.
But yeah, like I said, just to reiterate, because I really do love what I do in helping people, is know that if you are thinking about being an entrepreneur at any point in time, I mean, reach out to, I think, either one of us, but know that you can do it. Don't doubt yourself. Be able to trust the process and know that it's going to be a little bit of a grind, but the long term is so rewarding. I would have a hard time going back. It's no way would I punch a clock again.
Hard, but worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. If you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, I want you to think about something my brother told me is we are in the midst of the largest transfer of wealth in the next 20 years, I think. Wow. And it's like $27 trillion is about to be transferred from one generation to the next.
Dang.
Think about that.
Tons of opportunity out there.
Amazing amounts of opportunities. If you're looking at buying a lake place, and now is a great time. Because people get all of a sudden a couple $1 million of inheritance, it's just extra money.
Yeah.
And they're going to turn around and try to buy something with it, right? You just kind of spend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just always opportunity out there for people that are willing to go after it.
Exactly.
And hopefully our little misfits out there are going to be going after it.
Yeah.
Getting all that good advice from you and that fire in their belly from hearing your stories. So
heck yeah,
they're going to be crushing it. We want someone to make $1 million after listening to our podcast and come beyond the podcast. That's one of our goals. Yeah. So thank you for helping get us one step closer to making that happen.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, listeners. Thanks for everybody that's listened to any episode, and
like and share, share and follow and subscribe.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again,
guys.
Jarred.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. I'm listening to you. I'm like, man, all this stuff just hits home so hard. Because I'm like, yeah, I get to my first job out of college. And I'm like, is this what it's going to be? Like 30 years in the same chair, you know? And I'm like, looking around cubicles, and I like have watched Office Space, and I'm
pizza
like
parties,
potlucks and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, you know.